You're watching Central this Saturday evening, and it's time now for the latest news and weather.
Good evening, the news and sport from ITN. Tonight's headlines: last chance talks on Bosnia, the US moves towards military action. The president of Sri Lanka is murdered by a suicide bomber. Violence in Moscow as communists defy Yeltsin. And the mother and baby shooting, a man is arrested.
And tonight's main sports headline: Brian Clough kisses goodbye to the Premier League.
President Clinton tonight stepped up the pressure on the Bosnian Serbs by threatening military action against them. His Secretary of State, Warren Christopher, is coming to Britain tomorrow for talks with the Prime Minister, John Major. They'll discuss taking stronger action against the Serbs, including unspecified military steps. Last chance peace talks began today in Athens as Mr. Christopher spelt out the American position.
This direction involves a number of specific recommendations, including military steps. The President is sending me to Europe to consult with our allies and friends on a course of action. This problem is at the heart of Europe's future. Our efforts will be undertaken with our partners. We're ready to play our part, but others must be as well.
The American announcement was clearly timed to put maximum pressure on the Serbian leaders arriving in Athens this afternoon. It's thought President Milosevic at least considers he has more to gain from peace than war. The question is whether he can persuade the Bosnian Serb leader, Dr. Karadzic, to do more than talk and actually sign the Owen Vance plan.
Serbian side is ready for the peace, an immediate and unconditional peace.
His words have meant little in the past. The Americans say they now want action. And the architects of the peace plan believe there is finally some chance of real progress.
Peace, which has so long eluded the former Yugoslavia, is now, I think, within our grasp, if only everyone has the courage to seize it.
President Izetbegovic of Bosnia has already signed the plan, along with Croatia's President Tudjman. What gives the peace mediators hope is that with his country crippled by sanctions, Serbia's president is now putting meaningful pressure on the Bosnian Serbs to fall into line. So far, all the talking in this conflict has failed to stop the fighting, but the American threat of military intervention has added a new urgency to the peace process tonight, raising hopes of a successful outcome. Libby Vina, ITN, Athens.
The Queen and John Major tonight sent messages of sympathy to the Sri Lankan government after President Ranasinghe Premadasa was assassinated by a suicide bomber. Police say at least 14 other people died in the explosion during a May Day procession in the capital, Colombo. Tom Bradby at ITN reports.
Known as the common man's president, Ranasinghe Premadasa started this morning where he was happiest, looking relaxed, informal and in high spirits, as he led supporters in a May Day parade through the capital. It appeared peaceful, with no hint of the trouble that had been expected. Then, moments later, carnage, as a suicide bomber rode a bicycle into the president and his entourage. The bomb tore into the crowd. The president, his bodyguards and several supporters were killed outright. Many others maimed and injured. The assassination comes a week after the murder of an opposition leader, and a curfew has been introduced to try and diffuse tension across the country.
There were helicopters circling over the city in the late afternoon and early evening, and one or two shots could be heard. But gradually all the people have obviously got home, and there's nobody much out in the street at all now, and so the curfew is holding.
The Sri Lankan government suspect the attack was the work of the Tamil Tigers, who spent the last decade waging a bloody campaign for a separate state. They've used suicide bombers to kill before. The Indian Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, fell victim to one 2 years ago. But the group said today it was not responsible, and supporters believe it would have had little to gain.
I don't believe Tamil Tigers would have done this assassination because the Liberation Tigers and the President's office have been in constant touch to find out a political solution to the Tamil problem. And the only hope that the Tamil community had was to negotiate with the president.
A new president was sworn in tonight. His message to his people, please remain calm.
About 150 people have been injured in violent clashes at a May Day rally in Moscow. Communist opponents of President Yeltsin fought with riot police when they tried to stop them reaching Red Square.
May Day, traditionally the day when they celebrated their power and glory here, but today Boris Yeltsin had banned the demonstrations in the city centre, so the trade unions did their thing on the right side of the police cordon. The communists did not. They had not asked permission to march anywhere, let alone to Red Square. And when they tried to, a vicious confrontation was inevitable. And when they turned away on the road to Lenin Hills overlooking the city, police blocked them again. Down with Yeltsin, they chanted, Yeltsin must go. This is not the first protest against him, but it is the bloodiest. And it is seen as an explosion of frustration by the communist diehards that Yeltsin is simply roller coasting over them and their objections, the way they used to do it themselves in the old days. It is possible they have used today in its old symbolism to deliberately provoke a confrontation with the government and make political capital whatever the outcome. It did look more than simply spontaneous fury. The policeman was crushed when demonstrators hijacked a lorry and drove over him. This was not just a clash of protesters and police, but the first real public test of resolve by the government and its opponents. And today, both lost. Michael Nicholson, ITN, Moscow.
A workman has been shot dead at the home of the leader of Belfast Sinn Fein councillors. The gunman later admitted they were trying to kill councillor Alex Maskey, but he escaped unhurt.
This is the man the UFF intended to kill, the leader of Sinn Fein councillors in Belfast, Alex Maskey, standing at the spot outside his home where his friend Alan Lundy was shot. At the time, Alex Maskey had been in the bathroom of his West Belfast house, which Mr. Lundy was helping to renovate. After he was hit by one of at least 20 shots, Mr. Lundy staggered inside. Alex Maskey's wife, who was also in the house with her 2 teenage sons, says the gunmen followed him into the house, but they ran off after they were unable to find her husband. A UFF statement made no apologies for Mr. Lundy's death. It referred to recent meetings between Sinn Féin's Gerry Adams and John Hume of the SDLP, and it said the UFF were now more confident than ever that the two men were working on what they called a pan-nationalist strategy. 6 years ago, Alex Maskey was shot and seriously wounded as he answered a knock at the door of the same house. Then as now, the attack came during the run-up to elections. And Sinn Féin have also claimed there was collusion between the security forces on both occasions. Ivan Little, ITN, Belfast.
A man is still being questioned tonight in connection with the shooting of a woman and her 7-month-old daughter in Luton. David Edwards was arrested early this morning in central London. Flowers have been laid near the spot where Marina Turvey was shot dead as she walked with her husband and daughter Charlene. The deposed French Socialist Prime Minister Pierre Bergovois has died after shooting himself in the head. He died an hour ago on his way to hospital in Paris. Mr. Bergovois was Prime Minister when the Socialists suffered a humiliating general election defeat in March. Colleagues said he was also deeply wounded by allegations linking him to a businessman who was later jailed on corruption charges. Tennis officials at Wimbledon say they'll be reviewing security after the women's world #1 seed, Monica Seles, was stabbed during a tournament in Germany. She's still in hospital tonight, and it's unlikely that she'll be able to play at Wimbledon next month.
All day, security was tight at the Hamburg hospital where Monica Seles was taken after the attack. Doctors who treated her believe she will make a complete recovery, but may not be able to play again for as long as 3 months. The world's #1 female player collapsed in agony yesterday after a spectator stabbed her in the back. The wound narrowly missed her spinal cord, and doctors say she was lucky to have escaped with minor injuries. Her attacker, who was wrestled to the ground by other fans, said he couldn't bear to see her doing better than the German tennis star Steffi Graf. He's now likely to face a charge of attempted manslaughter. Police have recovered the butcher's knife which was used in the attack and will form part of the prosecution's evidence. At a press conference in Hamburg, Officials said they decided against abandoning the competition, but the issue of security is now being reviewed at tournaments around the world. At Wimbledon, where players traditionally mingle freely with the crowds, total security is virtually impossible. Monica Seles had said it was her ambition to win the championship this year, but now it appears she won't be fit to play.
Now here's Graham Miller with today's sports news.
With leaders Manchester United firm favourites to lift the Premier League Championship on Monday, Brian Clough tasted relegation for the first time today in his last season as a manager. It was an emotional farewell for Cloughie after 18 years in charge at Nottingham Forest, kisses and cuddles and quite a few tears, as Forest lost 2-0 at home to fellow strugglers Sheffield United. So Forest down and out with one game to go. Oldham play at Aston Villa tomorrow, Middlesbrough won at Sheffield Wednesday. But even if they win their last game, Sheffield United have 2 games to go and a much better goal difference. At the top of the First Division, Portsmouth went to Sunderland looking for another win to guarantee automatic promotion. It couldn't have gone more wrong. Don Goodman scored the first of 2 Sunderland penalties. Martin Gray also got on the score sheet as Pompey had 2 sent off on their way to their first defeat in 13 games. John Aldridge scored a couple in his first full game for Tranmere for more than 2 months as they kept up the pressure with victory over Watford. And teenage striker Sean Bradbury scored twice on his league debut for Wolves as they put paid to Millwall's hopes of promotion for another season. So if West Ham win at Swindon tomorrow, they move up into the second automatic promotion place. Swindon, Leicester and Tranmere are all now guaranteed their places in the end-of-season playoff games. In Scotland, Rangers secured their 5th successive league championship. Gary McSwegan got the winner at Airdrie, Rangers' 43rd league title. Wigan won the Silk Cut Challenge Trophy for a record-breaking 6th successive year today, but they were pushed all the way by a determined Widnes side, who twice threw away the lead.
Just about everyone outside Central Park was keen to see an end to Wigan's remarkable cup run. Richard Ayres gave Widnes the ideal start. The Wigan powerhouse, though, was unperturbed. Kelvin Skerritt felling Spruce on his way to the line. Wigan were level, but only for 5 minutes. Widnes' Kurt Sorensen at 37, playing his last game, crashed through 2 despairing tackles to create his own piece of Wembley history. But their lead was carelessly thrown away within minutes as Devereux was caught near his own line. A fire made the try for his captain Dean Bell. The second half was all Wigan as Widnes wilted in the heat. Panipar went across for the try which sealed the game. A Fire's relatively quiet match was painfully interrupted by Ayres' elbow. The Widnes player was sent off. From then on, there was no way back for his team. So Wigan's 6th Challenge Cup triumph in a row was confirmed. Rugby League is in grave need of a side to challenge them next season.
At Twickenham, Union, not League, was the order of the day as Leicester and Harlequins fought for the Pilkington Cup, and it was Leicester who lifted the trophy for the first time in 12 years.
Harlequins set out to give skipper Peter Winterbottom a triumphant send-off from domestic rugby, and early on it looked as if they might do it when Glenister struggled across the line to give Quins the lead. But Leicester came back from behind, a feat they were to perform 3 times. A classy dummy from Stuart Potter, ending with a memorable try. John Liley converted to make it 7-all. In the second half, Martin Johnson drove through to give Leicester the lead for the first time. Victory for the Tigers within sight. The 2 sides kept up the pressure on each other, with Winterbottom adopting the role of peacemaker. The match was finally sealed with a penalty from Liley. Leicester taking the trophy for the first time in 12 years.
At Newmarket, the hot favourite Zaphonic broke the course record as he romped home in the 2,000 guineas. The commentator is Graham Good.
This is the Zaphonic we waited to see, and it's Zaphonic coming clear by 2, 3, 4 Baratier. Villagua for places only, but this is a very good horse. This is Zaphonic, the winner. Baratier, a great run.
So the full SP, first Zaphonic 6-5 on favourite, second Baratier 10-1, and third was Bin Ajwad 66-1. The England cricket captain Graham Gooch scored an undisputed 100th first-class century today for Essex against Cambridge University. Gooch brought up the ton with a 6 in an innings that also included 13 fours. Stephen Hendry and Jimmy White.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, good evening. Well, the weather's turning very much colder over the next 24 hours. That process is already underway over Scotland and Northern Ireland. Temperatures dropping quite sharply. That cold air is coming in behind this weather front, which will slowly but surely be pushing its way south and east across England and Wales, clearing away about this time tomorrow. So tonight, then, you've got a cold night for Scotland and Northern Ireland, a touch of ground frost, perhaps even an air frost in the odd place, and some spits and spots of rain and showers in the north and west. But there's that weather front at the moment to the west of England and Wales, just the odd patch of rain in it. To the south and the east, quite mild, quite misty too, with some fog patches to come. Tomorrow then you'll find, well, basically western parts of England and Wales up into Scotland quite bright. Some fairly brisk showers though up to the north and west. But there's that band of cloud and patchy rain from about Lincolnshire down to the Isle of Wight. Now, as we go through the day, that'll be breaking up, some fairly brisk showers coming along, particularly in the southeast. To the north and west, fair few showers and quite heavy ones too in western Scotland for a time. Temperatures, well, after the recent days, these are very disappointing, around 13, which is 55, though you may still hang on to the mild weather in the southeast until about the end of the day. Good night.
Central Weather, sponsored by Legal & General.
Hello, us in detail now. We might see the odd thundery shower that's hanging around the southeast, but they're beginning to die down now. Bits of drizzle coming in from the west later, though, the beginnings of a cold front, which will cross us through tomorrow morning. Patchy rain and cloud dulling us over, and through the afternoon cooling us down as brighter, fresher weather follows the cold front in. Emma will be keeping a check on that tomorrow. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.